After the February 28th surgical attack on Tehran by Israel and the Epstein administration, an attack that resulted in the death of the Iranian leader plus some 40 leading military officials, an attack that started by the killing of children.
The U.S. and Israel launched the war against Iran on February 28th. Iran claimed hundreds of schoolgirls were the victims of a U.S. airstrike. Sources now tell CBS News a preliminary U.S. assessment found the United States is likely to blame.
But the U.S. is currently investigating an explosion at a school next to an Iranian Navy base that Iran says killed more than 150 people, mostly schoolgirls.
Questions over whether he's responsible for the killing of at least 165 schoolgirls on the first day of the war.
They've been bombing Tehran and other cities, destroying homes, destroying hospitals, destroying schools, slaughtering children. In one instance, they murdered 165 girls, young girls, at an elementary school. They've been buried today.
An attack that was thought would lead to the utter collapse of the Iranian government, but has instead backfired immeasurably. Iran has since elected a new leader and delegated military roles per province instead of centralized control. Each province of Iran is able to defend itself independently without consultation from the capital. So the killing of generals based in Tehran is meaningless. Add to that Iran's thousands of drones plus hundreds of thousands of missiles and the mountainous terrain, all equaling to an unwinnable war without ground troops.
رژیم صهیونیستی ما رو تهدید هم میکنن، تهدید به حمله نظامی میکنن، اما به نظرم خودشون هم میدانند و اگر نمیدانند بدانند که اگر غلطی از آنها سر بزند جمهوری اسلامی تل آویو و حیفا رو با خاک یکسان خواهد کرد.
CCTV footage reportedly shows Iranian ballistic missiles raining down over Israeli cities with multiple explosions spreading across rooftops and streets. And this time, analysts say the missiles may be carrying cluster-type warheads designed to scatter dozens of mini-bombs across a wide area.
Working quite well, Iran is hammering the Israeli regime in retaliation for its atrocities and its unprovoked war.
The reason for the attack is not clear. Some have suggested it was to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon. But in February of this year, during negotiations, Iran declared publicly willingness to hand over nuclearly enriched material. But Israel attacked them anyway. They knew Iran had no nukes. The negotiations were a smokescreen as they prepared for a premeditated attack. The idea was to kill all senior Iranian leaders, which would create a void and vacuum in power that would be taken up by the Iranian protesters that would place a weak and subservient leader, one approved by Trump, in power that would bend the knee to Israel and Greater Israel aspirations. But instead, U.S. bases across multiple countries have been bombed. U.S. embassies have been vacated with massive losses to Israel, both at land and sea, and the U.S. is running out of ammunition in a war they cannot win. U.S. and Israel were not prepared for a long war.
The military says Iran launched at least 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 drones just in the first 4 days of the war. Of the Israeli-US war in Iran are estimated to have cost at least $3.7 billion. Is this a humbling moment, do you think, for the United States?
I think it is a very difficult moment because the Americans did not foresee such a war lasting so long, and the reaction of the Iranians and the allies above all, as you rightly included Hezbollah, but also the Iraqis. You have today three fronts that are engaging. The Americans did not expect such a damage inflicted on all its military bases in the Middle East. The Iranian reaction also against the Strait of Hormuz was not foreseen at such a scale. And also Hezbollah firing 100 missiles in one day.
They thought the killing of the Ayatollah would bring the end of Iran. But instead, hundreds of Americans have been injured, with some killed.
I want to bring you some breaking news. 4 of the 6 crew members aboard a U.S. military aircraft that's crashed in western Iraq have been confirmed to have been killed. That's according to the U.S. military.
Overnight, rescue efforts underway after a refueling plane went down in Iraq. The KC-135 aircraft is part of military operations against Iran.
And billions of dollars turned to rubble. And so now they are using the Kurds as pawns and ground troops to try and topple the Iranian regime. They have their hopes on foreign mercenaries to tip the scales in their favor. But like before, it will end with egg on their face. Bombardments by Iran and Hezbollah are stand from a reactionary one to the aggressor. Iran will not surrender or call for a ceasefire as it did in June of 2025. This war will only end by Iran's conditions being met, or a compromise peace deal that is only due to the death of thousands on both sides.
Iran is not interested in negotiating with Trump or the US regime. Iran is going to punish the United States. And we are in the process of doing it. This regime in Washington has tried to cross a bridge that's a bridge too far. And they're messing with the wrong country. We're not Venezuela, we're not Iraq, we're not Libya, we're not Afghanistan, and we're not Syria. The Zionists to blame. They pushed the United States toward the war. So the international community recognizes that Iran did not want war. We were doing trade. It was the United States and the Israeli regime that attacked us. So if the global economy goes down, no one can blame Iran. It is the United States and the Israeli regime.
Thank you.